And Zoom. Okay, so as far as I know, we're streaming on the Stories of Awakening, the page, the public page, where we can actually share this recording onto our own pages. So we've started this video. I'm going to restart it again, even though I've recorded some of it. Such beautiful expressions from these beautiful ladies. However, this is Mary Jo, Stories of Awakening. So anybody who's going to join this on Facebook, this is a follow-up Stories of Awakening session with my two beautiful friends and ladies and beautiful hearts that I'm so blessed to be connected with and co-create this way. So I'm welcoming Sharron Martin back on to Stories of Awakening and Janine Savient. They've already shared their insight about the current energies, but maybe we'll just go around and just do a little synapse again for this new development in the technological world because we can adapt and change to any situation, can't we, ladies?
Oh, yeah, we can.
We can keep breathing and know that all is well in all of our creations.
Absolutely.
So I'll just take it over to you again, Sharron. And if you could just share a little bit of your insight and Gaia wisdom again about these current energies, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for your patience.
All right. So one of the beautiful jobs that I get to do is that I have a very strong and personal connection with Gaia, or the goddess Lady Gaia, the personification of the consciousness of the planet. And so I guess as an overview, we can say that everything that's happening in our world at the moment is divinely guided. So there's purpose and rationale for all that we're going through. And one of the things that's happening at the moment that she speaks of is that we will be stretched. So we will be stretched to extreme polarities, and not necessarily in ourselves, but in the witnessing of. So we will observe extreme polarities. And the reason for that is described by her. It's a bit like pulling a rubber band, you know, so you can stretch a rubber band, but you can only hold it for so long until it has to come back to the center or until it snaps. And so in a way, that's kind of the purpose of this. It allows us to come into center, into the 0 point, into neutral. So, you know, we'll be witnessing things at extreme ends. And, you know, it helps us to come into our own greatness, to be able to sit and find the expansion of our own divine inner spark. So that's another little thing that's happening. But we're going through exciting times. It's a bit of an adrenaline rush, and so we have to take good care of ourselves. You can't ride the wave backwards. You've got to go with it. The force is greater. and so, you know, we can maneuver around on the board and we can move up and down the wave a bit, but, you know, I've been a surfer. You find if you want to have a nice, long, gentle ride into the beach, you find the sweet spot and you sit there and you sit in comfort, and you know, you sit back and you sit low and you sit in balance. And so in a way, that's what we need to be asking ourselves to do. So she speaks of this time as being the closing off of cycles in preparation for the new. We've been watching truths arise. We've been watching the foundations ripped out, because everything in our world is going to change. So all of our systems and structures, our government, education, finance, all of those things, there's more than that, but those huge, big institutions, they are crumbling and changing, and it's all for the good. That's the thing to remember. You know, it's all for the good. Even if we don't understand exactly what's happening and why, we can go to that place very comfortably. This is all for our own highest good, for us as individuals, for the collective of humanity, and for the planet. So I might just leave it at that point, except to say that in terms of our own personal bodies, you know, there is this thing about this being centered. It's about coming into your own balance and about being grounded into the earth. We have got frequencies coming in this month that have never come, and scientists are saying this as well. They've never come to the planet ever. And and these, how I see these frequencies that are coming is as though they are wrapped in a plasmic blanket. That's how it looks to me. But they are coming in to activate or reactivate our 12 strands of DNA. So, you know, we're going through amazing times, and lots of people are going to have a bit of a third eye awakening over this time, and begin to see things that some of us are privileged to see already in the invisible realms. So that's exciting.
Beautiful, beautiful. And do you have any reference that people could find that science on those new frequencies where they're talking about that? Can you recall?
No, but I think if they just Google that, they'll find it, because there's been quite a few references. So it's not coming from the sun or from beyond the sun. So it's coming from somewhere else. My understanding is that it will be coming from many planets. Gaia has showed me some sort of portal references about that, but we'll see if we get time for that later.
Beyond the beyond, isn't it? It's so beyond what we're so used to on this planet. And I think you mentioned it when we were chatting before, Sharron, which really kind of you know, rung in the back of my psyche of just that just these little important notes to remind ourselves that we don't even have the languaging for a lot of what's unfolding. You know, it doesn't fit into the context or the paradigm of where we've been. So we'll have to build up that languaging skill to even have the conversation around what is new.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. A really good way of putting it.
Wonderful. So thank you for that share. And over to you, beautiful Janine.
Thank you. So just before I start, was anything that we said on the previous one, will that be put onto this as well, or is that totally void?
It will be on the Zoom, and I can connect that again, but I can't tell you when. So yeah, please do repeat anything. Feel free to repeat again for the Facebook Live that's right now in this
Fantastic. Moment. Yes, because it's really important. Sorry, Sharron?
Great question. I should have asked that too.
So yes, I asked that because it's really important that I get the message out now for people to step back from everything that they're reading and on social media, and as Sharron said earlier, just really skimming across things, but really taking a break from social media for a while and refocusing back on themselves, bringing themselves back into themselves, because this is where their truth lies. The truth doesn't lie outside of them, it sits within us all. And so if we're watching anything on social media, and there's some very, very heavy narrative out there at the moment, and a huge amount in many different fields out there, and if we're constantly caught up in reading that day in and day out, we're hugely influenced. And to believe that we're not, to believe that we're separate from it, that we can read it, we can observe it without it touching us, is we're fooling ourselves to believe that. We're sensitive, we're energetic beings, vibrational beings, and everything that we read, every word holds a vibration. And so it comes into us, and as I said earlier, I've watched people drop into very dark holes in themselves, and once they're down there, it can take days, it can even take a week or more to pull themselves back up to a higher vibration. So why do that to ourselves? Why do that to our world? Because we affect the whole whenever we fall into a hole. And so it's about now saying, okay, I know what's going on out there. I've read it, I've seen it, it's 9 months into the year. I understand as much as I can. I might not have a deep knowing of it, but I can get the gist of it. So let it go now and bring yourself back into yourself, and do whatever makes your heart sing with joy. Just come back to normal life as much as you possibly can, with a world in chaos around you. Bring yourself back centered into your knowingness and to do what brings you joy, what lightens you up, what makes you laugh, what connects you in. So out in nature, meditation, playtime, reading a novel, whatever it is that's going to drop that TV, drop that social media, drop those conversations and step back into yourself. Whatever that looks like to you, it's time now to do that, because you're influencing the mass consciousness of this planet by the frequency that you yourself are holding. And so to be in the greatest service that you can possibly be to this world right now, to this reality, it's to raise your own vibration and hold that space of love, so that that vibration goes out into the masses, into the conscious field that's around this planet. And it has a huge, huge effect. So that's a very important part of what's happening now, as people are stepping back and letting go. And because, you know, for a lot of people, it's actually become an addiction. And like, they're up in the middle of the night with their phone on their bed to see what the latest thing that's happening overseas in this country, that country, you know, they're feeding. And if only they realize that getting angry, getting frustrated, getting fearful is feeding the very energy that they don't want to see on this planet. So stepping back, turning it off, picking up your romance novel or your sci-fi or something that's just going to let it go for a while, give yourself a break, learn meditation, join online groups. You know, it's there's a choice right now. There's always choices. We live with choices, but right now the choice is there's two main timelines, and we can have one of the dark, the heavy, the fear, the doubt, all that, or we can have one of the light, of love, of abundance, of joy, and that. So we get to choose which one we want to participate in, which one we want to make very real for ourselves right now. And I know which one I'm choosing, and I'm absolutely certain which one you two are choosing as well. So it's, you know, we're powerful beings, and it's entirely up to us how we create our reality and what timeline we help create here. So the new emerging earth is coming from within our heart, within every one of our hearts. And so for that to happen, it's not going to come through fear and doubt and darkness and anger and criticism, and it's not going to come through any of those things. It's born, it's birthed through love, through light, through passion, through joy, through every beautiful higher aspect and vibration of us. So that's kind of where I feel that, and I know that we're at the moment, is letting go, because we are, if you like, we're in preparation ourselves right now, in readiness for when the masses wake up with the reveal that's coming. And when they wake up and find that their lives have been twisted inside out, tipped upside down, it's going to be huge to understand that nothing is true. Nothing that they believe their life to be is true. No history, none of the history of the past is even true. It's all going to be revealed. And so it's going to be up to us to say, you know, we're okay. We've been here for a few months now. We've been reading a lot, feeling a lot. We've been connecting with others, and we understand to a point what's going on here, and we're okay, and we're here for you. And we did it, and you can do it too. And we'll get life back to the new normal, or into the new normal, more rapidly by being there for each other and supporting each other and loving each other. So like I said before, you know, we're going to be the ones within our intimate and extended families, the ones in our neighbourhoods, in our communities, in our places of work. We're going to be the lights that those that are floundering in deep fear are going to be drawn to support them back into a solid place in themselves, and to see the positives that are coming out of this with a brand new world, of one that we've held within our dreams in our deepest knowing for so long. One, because we know we came here for this. You, Sharron, and you, Mary Jo, and myself, we're on the leading edge with many others at the forefront of thought and knowing, because we came here to support this time right now, to hold it in our love and light, to be there for those that are waking up, to show them and remind them of the beauty that's in themselves as well. And so, yeah, and we're here now, and we're in our preparation, and we're getting into our readiness, and we've got feet planted firmly on the ground, and it's like big breath in and ready to embrace all those that are about to go through the biggest time in this entire existence, if not many existences. So I can go off onto a tangent sometimes when I get into my passion and my...
I love your passion. It's beautiful, beautiful. As you were speaking, what kind of came to me, just to add in as well, is the awareness from my own journey of my own awakening from much untruth or limitation, separation, etc. game, and that uncomfortableness and the anger that does come up to wake up, the anger and to wake up out of that dream, if you like, or that dream spell of mistruths, and to shake up, you know, that there is that element of it, and it is a tricky navigation, because just as you've both pointed out, you can really get caught up in it, and it can have a seduction of itself. And then the next phase is then to, as you also pointed to, is taking ourselves under our own wing with self, to nurture the self and the self-esteem, and to go deeper with that inner truth and inner guidance, to go beyond it, and to go deeper within ourselves and go beyond it, so that we don't have to get stuck there, and then add, just as you said, add to that energy of fear and blame and rage, etc., that we go beyond it and utilize it. Okay, now I've got a good sense of what I do not condone and I do not align with, and now I gotta get myself off that storyline, that timeline, that frequency, and now, just as you talked about, Sharron, as well, visioning and being that visionary, and that's a lot to do with really, I would say, acceptance of the self and who we truly are as creator beings, that we truly, on the deepest level, and of course, way back here, what we're waking up out of is the sense that we're powerless, we're limited, and all the rest of it. We're trapped, we're stuck, all the rest of it. So we're shifting out of that gear, realizing that's not who we really are, but we believed it, so we're pissed. and that anger is powerful energy, because it reignites out of the apathy, the passion of the soul again, to reignite that fire. And then, but we don't want to get it reignited in the fire of the mistruths, we'll say, or how it's unfolding, but yeah, get it aligned into that beautiful passion of creation, of new visions, and what it is we truly desire on the deepest level of heart and soul, which is the part of us that's awakening and saying, okay, we're done with that now, and we're ready for this new emergence and evolution, and it's time for you to accept who you really are. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'd just add to that, Mary Jo, that that whatever we feel, whatever the trigger is on the outside of us, it's not about that trigger. Whatever we feel, we know that the world is changing. We know that the darkness is coming up, but what we feel in regard to that is ours to own. So through all the lifetimes that we have lived, we have needed the parts of us that are coming up for review now. We have needed the anger and the persecutor within us, and the controller, and the all the different fears, and all those heavier aspects have kept us in good stead in past lives, and have protected us to a certain degree. So they're all aspects of who we are, of our soul energy. moving forward into the new emerging earth, we no longer require those heavier aspects. So right now, in the triggering and the moving through us to be, I say released, but it's actually, my knowing is that we embrace them and we fold them back into the love of us, so that they are loved as much as all our lighter, more higher vibrating pieces. But this is what we're doing. So it's about owning it. So rather than projecting out at what we see as bad, as untrue, it's observing it, but then coming back to how we're feeling and working on that piece. Because every time we embrace a piece back into the heart of us, we rise, we expand, we deepen every time. And so we make space for more light to come in, lighter vibration, lighter aspects to glow. So we give ourselves a gift every time.
Beautiful. And just adding to that, a passion that came up in me many years ago as I was in my own awakening journey in those earlier years, I just noticed that tendency to want to diss everything that had happened up to now, you know, and that's kind of be the anger of the mistruths and what's been done to us. But something in me, there was a deeper passion as well, which was surprising at the time, was like, no, it all has, nothing's been wasted in consciousness. That was the words that came out of my mouth. Nothing is wasted in consciousness. And so everything that has transpired has brought us exactly to where we are. And to the readiness and to this moment of going, okay, we've got what we came to get, in essence, from that storyline, from those experiences. And the more we release, or as you said, bring it back in with love and acceptance, and comes back in, it becomes that greater wisdom, awareness, knowingness, which we draw from to bring into the new visions, the new creations, the new evolutions, if you like, expressions, experiences. And knowing what we're done with, we're so clear on what we're ready to experience, but it also brings in this richness to the experience. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I want to add into that commentary a few aspects, really. So I'm thinking about that, you know, Gaia speaks of us having 3 major waves of awakening. And so each of those waves is in a different journey, or a different part of the same journey. And so in a way, we could view it as the first wave of awakening souls. I want to say to you that, you know, if we saw these 2 timelines, or these 2 trajectories as rivers, and one is this crystal clear, beautiful, flowing, magical river, and one's murky and full of debris, and you're in the murky river, then I want to say to you, you need to get out. You need to get out of that river and join the rest of us in the clear river, because as Janine said, you know, that is our role now. So we need to be accountable for our own frequency, our own vibration, our own field. So we've got to develop good practice. And, you know, Gaia is referencing those of us in the first wave as the practice coming back to solid, grounded basics: breathing, hydration, groundedness, spiritual hygiene, and holding this resonance in the heart. And then if you're in the next wave, then, you know, they have begun to awaken maybe during this year, and so those people might still be dealing with their wounds. And how we do that is, as Janine said, it's, you know, we become accountable for our own feelings. We recognize them, we see them, and many of those are wounds that come up to be solved and salved, and you might need help with that, and that's fine. Go and get help. There's lots of us around who do work to help. And it's this idea then that when you've integrated that, it means that you have a choice. So you're not triggered, you don't have this reaction, you have a choice. I can choose anger. There are times when anger is an important emotion. It can move things. you know, and the sort of that righteous anger that can come out about things that need to be attended to, you know, that's a powerful force. And so it's always about having integrated it into self, so you get a choice about the emotion that you're going to access. And then the third wave, of course, they're still really swimming in that river, and it's not a very easy place to be. And so we have to, you know, that old saying about energy flows where focus goes. That's kind of the teaching, I suppose, for those people. But, you know, for those of us in the first wave, our role is to hold our vibration so steady and at the highest level that we can, because then we create this collective vibration that's very strong, that it's like it licks the feet of everybody, you know, and it allows the people who are on the edges to be pulled into that. It allows them to be washed by that collective energetic. And then this next wave, you know, make a choice. Have you been swimming in that river long enough now to know that there are things going on, that it's a bit of a very deep dive that you can't sustain? You know, if you were a diver in the water and you were going to that depth, you'd have extra tanks, you'd have a support team. You wouldn't go down there on your own. And so you might, you know, have a quick dive down and then come back up. But really, you've got to be asking yourself that question: what good can you bring to anybody if you stay in it? Mm-hmm. And my answer to that is that you're going to end up in the way that Janine was speaking about before, you know, where you'll end up probably sitting in the fringes of depression, because you cannot sustain the light when you are continually in the murk. So, you know, that's your role now. The people in this second wave, your role is to say, have I done enough? And answer that honestly within. Have I done enough looking? Am I aware enough to recognize that there are aspects that have gone on in our world that I was not aware of before, and that it may be bigger than I know? And am I okay with just accepting that? And then your work is to address any wounding that's still coming up, and to get your field clear, and to get into good spiritual practice so you can join the first wave. Because the third wave, which is not yet awakened, that's, you know, the guy I spoke about, the second wave being 10 times the size of the first wave, but the third wave is really the rest of humanity. There's this opportunity for it to be the rest of humanity. So it's massive. So, you know, the people who are you people in the second wave, it's your job to do your healing and get into your whole integrated, beautiful, amazing self, so that you can help with this the huge awakening that will come.
See, the difference between in my personal knowing, the difference between the first and second waves is that we in the first wave, we woke up a long time ago. For myself, it was, I often say I was born awake, and then had an even deeper awakening on an operating table in 2011. But so we came with a knowing. So, and we've been exploring outside the boundary of normal just about our whole life, because we've never fitted in. We came for purpose, on purpose. So we had the luxury, if you like, of, although we didn't fit in, although we felt like square pegs in round holes at times, we had the luxury of exploring and learning and connecting at our leisure, more or less, because it's been so long. Now, people are awakening because of what is happening outside of themselves here on this earth. And so they don't have the luxury of the time that we had. And that's one of the reasons they're getting caught up and believing the awakening is actually what they're seeing out there and not what they're feeling in here. So like I said to a beautiful intimate family member who awoke during the first COVID, hallelujah to that, I said to her, it's not about outside of yourself now, darling. It's you know what's going on. You can feel what's happening in you. Now let it go and come on into where the real awakening's happening. So that's the piece that we've also got to remember to just to guide people back inwards to where it really is happening and away from the stories again.
That's a very good discernment, Janine. And in my terminology, I've called that being woke and being awakened. They're
Yes.
two slightly different concepts, you know.
And I love your analogy of the rivers. I may have to borrow that with clients. That's fabulous. Yes, thank you.
Beautiful. And just to talk to the people who are, but what do we do? I even see it in my own beautiful husband, partner, you know, of going through those moments and having this conversation with him, you know, that sense of the ones that are feeling, what am I supposed to, you know, the action orientated. What would you say to those people? Yeah, but we got to do something about this. It's no good sitting in your home. What are you going to do about it?
You take ownership of yourself. So you may need some support from somebody who, as Sharron would say, is woke, and you start to learn about who and what you are and why you're here. And you start looking after yourself on all levels of yourself, and you start honouring yourself. So you own what you're feeling, you honour your voice, you honour your commitment, you honour your connection into any conversation, you honour your truth, you learn to trust in yourself. So you are growing from the inside out into the being that you actually have always been but have never known, because we've been kept from that, from the outside source. So it's in my view, it's about owning ourselves, and we just take that by day being consciously aware in each moment of our actions, our presence, our thoughts, our feelings, just being present with ourselves first and foremost.
Yes.
It takes radical self-responsibility.
Yes.
So I would flip that, Janine. I would call what you just spoke of as being awakened, and that this being woke is this new concept. And it's, for me, my witnessing of it is that it aligns with the people who are seeing truth, that they are calling themselves woke or awoke, and that's just an aspect of being awakened.
Okay, thank you for that.
But that's just my take on it.
Yeah. Wonderful. You know, we live in a world now of the greatest opportunities, the deepest possibilities. It's all here like a smorgasbord for us to choose from. We've always lived with choice. We build our reality on our choices, but it's only now that we're realizing this. So it's because the veil's been pulled over our eyes. It's only in this lifetime that we're realizing that our very reality is governed by our choices. And so it's about being fully consciously aware of our choices, knowing the impact that choice is going to have on our life, knowing that standing at that crossroad of choice is going to determine the direction we go in. And I always say to clients, you cannot ever get it wrong. There is absolutely no such thing as wrong. It's a human term that's been created to help us keep ourselves small and in doubt. So from the soul level of us, soul loves it all. The highest aspect of it loves every moment of every emotion, of every experience, you know, so there is no wrong, but we can get sidetracked. We can go off on a tangent and have an experience for ourselves that we didn't need to have. So, but there's no wrong. So it's about keeping our focus and our commitment.
Yes, and just being present with each moment. So it's, you know, it's about using your own inner compass. So, you know, in this choice, which is the choice that makes me feel better? Which is the choice that makes me smile? Which is the choice that I feel movement in my heart? So that's connecting into our inner self, our inner GPS, and make those choices in every moment, knowing knowing that there's this divine plan in action, and we just have to be following along with our part, and our part is to make those choices in each moment that lead us to being in greater joy or being in higher frequency. And for those of us who've been awake a long time, I think many of us perhaps thought we weren't going to live long enough to see our come into what we knew the world was going to evolve to, but it's pretty joyous to be part of witnessing this, or what really is an evolution in the way of it being a revolution, an evolutionary revolution, or a revolutionary evolution. As and we really are moving to paradise, and we get to create it, we get to co-create it, we get to do that in a collaborative sense through the magnificence and potency of our own beings.
Yeah. And I had a very deep vision a few months ago, and in that vision, the year was 2030, and I was standing on the greenest grass. It was the luscious, it was so incredible, it was alive. I knew every blade of grass vibrationally, and I stood on it in my bare feet, and I put my arms out, and even the sunshine played with the surface of my skin, and I could feel it going right through my body, and I said out loud, I have arrived. So that year was 2030, and I thought, wow, the new world is fully formed in 10 years. That's just the blink of an eye in the mind of existence, in the heart of existence, the blink of an eye. And so we're in the toughest times now, and once we get through to the end of 2020, then it's about, as Sharron mentioned earlier, busting down the old systems, rebuilding the new, coming to terms with a whole new society, new governance, new councils, new voice of the people being spoken and given into every part of society, new medical, new
energy.
Yes, new ways of eating, new financial system, just truth. We'll be living in truth more and more as the years pass, and I understand through my own knowing that the next 4 years after 2020 will be tough in themselves at times, with the rebuilding, with the breaking down, with the coming to terms, with the understanding, with the newness, and there'll be a few earth changes as well, which I'm sure Sharron knows about, that could be coming up as well. But it's all to bring us together. It's all to bring us into community and into unity. It's all for purpose, and there'll be deepening and more expanded times of light within the next few years as well. So we've got a lot to get through, but a lot to look forward to, and I can say that the hardest time is now, and
I agree.
What we've been through.
Yes, the guy has this beautiful analogy of, if you imagine, and in New Zealand it's easy for us because we have that horrible plastic wrap that goes on buildings now, but it's the idea that if each of these major sort of arms or institutions and systems in our world were a building, that the foundations are ripped out and the edges are crumbling, and then there's a cover like a net put over it, and that's, so the building's three-dimensional, the net's a fourth-dimensional. It's a holding pattern that allows people to recognize common familiar things within a system and a structure, that allows it to softly change whilst we're moving in our understandings, and then that will be gone and an entirely new fifth-dimensional system will come in. So that's how she kind of speaks of it.
Yes.
So that it's just, if we're aware of that, we can just be a little bit more standing and viewing it, and being curious. I think being curious is a really good thing through this time. Being curious about, I see that, I don't really understand it, but I'm curious about what that's about. And that can be a very gentle way of looking into things that are new.
the curiosity of the child.
Yeah,
That's what I love. You know, they're seeing life for the first time. They're experiencing newness for the first time in their little body. And I even seeing a butterfly land on a flower, it's like, you know, and that's how it's going to be. That's how I feel. Just what you're saying, Sharron. That's how it's going to be for us, is the curiosity of the child. I'd actually like to speak into our beautiful space brothers and sisters here as well, because so many of us are embodied in human form here, and we're the ones on the ground anchoring the energy of higher civilizations and other civilizations. And then there's those that are walking amongst us, the unseen, but they're right here. It's just that they're vibrating at a much higher frequency, so we can't often see them. We can feel them and sometimes see them, but most of the time not, because it's very hard from a third dimensional reality, a lower third, fourth dimensional reality, to be able to see these higher vibrating beings. But nevertheless, we have so many civilizations here supporting us. They can't do it for us, they can't rescue us, but they sent their emissaries, their representatives here in their hundreds of thousands into human bodies to walk this earth, to lift this reality, to bring it to the Garden of Eden, to the paradise it's going to be. So I'd like to acknowledge that I see both of you, and that I see so many others, and I know of so many others around this earth that are holding their space and honouring that sacred space of beingness right here. And with the world crumbling around each of us and every one of us here, we're holding our space and holding our light. And we're right in that time of why we came here right now. And it's an honour and a privilege to be standing side by side with both you beautiful ones.
Thank you.
Amen.
That's here too, yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, it reminds me of when you're talking about, you know, to be as a child, the curiosity and the innocence, the gentleness and the kindness, and be as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven, and to be in that kingdom of heaven, and really realize within the depth of my being what that really means this last year or so. And it's that gentleness and kindness, and just also such a compassion for the place in us that hasn't felt safe as well, to
You dropped out, Mary Jo.
really land and to ground in this body. Have I come back in?
Yes, you have.
Ah, good. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, so just really acknowledging with compassion, you know, the place within us that hasn't felt safe to really ground in these bodies, and just what it takes to really ground our energy in these bodies. So bringing it back to the practicality of breath, being in nature, and keeping our hearts open and to ourselves, to build up that trust and affirmation, and so that life can start reflecting back to us, you know, the truth of us, the goodness of us, rather than, as you said, the wrongness or those old ideas and thought forms and paradigms that are really the ones that are falling down, that was held up in that limited consciousness, so that we can really emerge and birth the newness of us, but coming through that beautiful innocence of the child. And isn't it when the masculine and feminine comes together in balance that the child is born, and again and again and again, and in these creational expressions, and so open up to that possibility and beauty, and so much goodness just right under our nose, if we can, just like what you've been saying or suggesting, to come off the technology, not so much of the social media and the storylines, and to actually see what's right out there outside our window, listen to the birds, and come back into that innocence, really, like a child.
Yes, because reality is within us. It's not outside of us, it's within us. And so it's coming back to reality, to come inside, to come into our heart, and to be guided by our heart always, to ask any question of ourself in life from our heart space, and to know that we will have the answer even before we've finished asking the question, because we feel it. We're already in it, feeling it before we finish asking. So this is who we are. We're heart-centered beings. We're definitely not mind-driven beings. We're heart-centered beings who have been drawn away from themselves through technology, through through every single avenue of our society. We've been pulled away from ourselves. So that's why the rebuilding is going to be such an amazing, incredible thing to witness. Be right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And with a whole lot of technologies that we're not yet aware of.
Yes, that's exciting in itself. I'm a techno girl, so I really do enjoy new gadgets.
Yeah. So another way that I talk a lot about in my retreats and that to help people understand is that so much in the way we've been living has kept us in stress. So it's kept us out of the heart, and it's kept us in the fight or flight or freeze. And so it's made us very heady, because it's about just getting through life instead of really enjoying life and the pleasure of life. We put that somewhere outside of us, or on the weekends, or wherever, in this old way of living, and we're just kind of doing the life that we think we have to do, and it's creating a lot of stress. And so part of the awakening is realizing that, and of course the COVID closure and everything, to step back and have that time to realize, what does it even look like, or what does it even feel like to experience life without those kind of stressors, and to soften back in, into the body, into the breath naturally. Even if you're aware or you're not aware, that would have been happening for people as they have more time to go for walks out in nature and feel the mind calm and come into rhythm, come back into that natural rhythm with the earth, with one's body, with one's breath, with one's heartbeat, and then feel the goodness from that, feel the goodness. And then in a way, since reopening, it's kind of mixing it up. And I think that's that you talked about the fourth dimension over the building, Sharron, that fourth dimension being that bridge between the 3D paradigm and the 5D, we'll say, or the unification. And that 4D is a bit of back and forth to kind of have that understanding or insight of what we're departing from and what we're moving into, and just having gentleness and kindness for that. And that's what we're talking about, the destructuring and the letting go, or the releasing, or the coming back in. All these words don't really, it's an experience. But basically, I guess in a way, another way of saying the collapsing on the outside is the collapsing of that duality within ourselves that comes back into the neutrality within ourselves, back into 0 point field. So allowing that new emergence and vision of our future vision. It's already a given, because otherwise we wouldn't be in this experience in the first place.
And coming to a place of being okay with not knowing, with not understanding, and of recognizing that there are many viewpoints and perspectives, and that can be a great game to play. What would it be like if I was looking at it from this perspective, and what would it be like if I'm looking at it from this perspective? And Gaia is really encouraging us to explore our multidimensionality in that way, to look at things from many different perspectives, and not make one right and one wrong, but just to be accepting that things can actually sit alongside one another that you would not think could exist in the same space, but it's very true that they can. And I want to just come back to what Janine was speaking about in terms of our off-planet assistants and brothers and sisters. So last month, Gaia showed me this imagery of a set of portals, and those portals, as I was watching them sort of get laid in, I recognized that they were the representation of the tree of life, which holds a connection to a set of planets and stars. And so what I was being shown is that they were being opened up, and that people here on Earth were going to have a big opening of the rare aspect of their third eye, and that the planet or star or system to which you most align in this lifetime is going to be bringing information to you like a drop-in, almost like if there was a hose connected to the back of your head and to the planet, that things just come in as a package. It's a direct transmission, so something to be aware of. But I want to just talk about it in terms of ascension. we are like the stone in the ripple on the pond. So ascension here is crucial to ascension throughout the galaxy and beyond. So we're having a lot of beings from all over the multiverse sitting around the space around our planet, holding us and watching, because it's a great show, and they are waiting for us to ascend. So we ascend individually, we ascend collectively as humanity, and we ascend as a planet. And then when we ascend, that allows the galaxy to ascend, which allows the universe to ascend, then the multiverse to ascend, and then the omniverse. And so we're the beginning point of that rippling out in a huge pond of ascension. And people or beings from other places are waiting with bated breath to see what happens. And they're excited because we affect the evolution of existence, really. And that's
Absolutely.
a pretty exciting place to be. You know, we're a part of that. It's pretty exciting to be a part of that.
So can you understand why so many civilizations have their emistries right here in human body at this time? You know, they have a vested interest in it, because exactly what Sharron's just described is exactly what's happening. And so when you said about the tree of life and the portals, and how we'll be connecting through to the aspect of us in our civilization, it's exactly what I've seen for quite a while now too, Sharron, and it's like a thread, and it's a thread that goes from us to the aspect of us that's in that civilization still, and we draw on all the knowing and the truth and the understanding and the wisdom of who we are there. This is part of our multi-dimensionality, is that we will be able to draw on that coming into the back of us, like you. That's how I saw it as well, coming in and flowing in as deeper wisdom, as more expanded knowing. So there's so much to look forward to. There's so much to unfold and be revealed, not only in the untruths that are happening on the outside of us, but in the deepest truths that are happening on the inside of us. That's the exciting bit. But one doesn't happen without the other one starting it off and beginning the process, which is right where we are right now.
Yeah, and to be okay with thinking that's a weird, wacky, out there, ridiculous concept, that's okay. You know,
yes.
be okay with that, because it doesn't have to be your truth.
No.
Or it might become your truth, or it may not. And well, I think I can speak for Janine when I say, you know, we don't hold on to a need for you to believe that, you know.
No, not at all.
It's just we're just putting it out there because we've seen that, we've observed that, and we have that ability to see through to other realms and to be given knowledge from other places, as we all do. We all do have that ability.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
And what I love, you know, in terms of the epicness of what you're saying, is most people are going around on Earth thinking that they're just this small little human.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about is really the Earth being, as Abraham Hicks talks about, the leading edge of new thought, and the epicenter really of this ripple effect that goes out into the multiverse ultimately.
Yes. And do you know how you would have heard it being said that New Zealand is God's own country? I mean, they're just words, but there is a high vibration here on New Zealand that is leading the way for this planet. And this planet is leading the way for everything else. So it is not by chance that we're either born here or we're drawn here as leading edge supporters, awakeners, teachers. Not by chance at all. Spirit told me probably about 15 years ago that because of the vibration here and the clarity, of the vibration here, and how messages and connection is so much more expanded and deeper here than anywhere else, that the teachers were and the supporters were either born here or they were brought here from overseas to learn deeply, to remember and connect in deeply, and often then put back out into the world or not, or stay here. So and I've seen that repeatedly over many years, how many beautiful ones have been drawn here, sometimes for a while, sometimes forever, and before they go back out or not. So just wanted to add that in too, that I used to do a meditation where I sat up in the universe and always went to the same place up in the universe and looked down on the earth. And I saw this purple hue right across New Zealand every time. And then I just connected in and asked one day, what is that about? And that's when I found out about the clarity of the vibration here, and how easy it is for beings and of all levels above us to be able to connect in with us here. So information and deeper teachings are easily flowed here, more easily than other countries around the world.
We have so much water as well.
Yeah, yes, exactly, yes, being islands. So yes, there's you never know where a conversation's going to go when you start, do you?
No, it's interesting how it all unfolds like that, isn't it? I've seen that New Zealand becomes like the retreat for the world.
Yes.
So, you know, people will come here to be refreshed and rejuvenated, and then return to their own countries, ready to do their next piece.
And I saw a vision of New Zealand being a much larger landmass than it is.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we rise up somehow. It
Yes.
feels like we're the peak of a huge continent.
Yes, absolutely. It's what it feels like to me
up.
too. That's what I saw. Yeah. So interesting. In fact, we dwarf Australia. So
okay.
That's how big the landmass was that I saw, is that we're bigger than Australia. So yeah, I was just thinking we dwarf Australia, but is that the right terminology? But yes, we're bigger than Australia. So that's what was in my vision. So that'll be interesting to see. And goodness knows how far away that is. But
Yes,
so do you feel like it's connected to the Lemuria continent? Do you feel like that's connected to the Lemurian continent?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Some beautiful ancient energies coming up with that landmass, and already being birthed here right now.
Yes, and many people in the world will have those ancient memories arising.
Yes.
You know, my understanding of Lemuria, I see that it had 3 eras. There were 3 worlds or 3 Lemurian eras, ERA.
Yeah.
You know, that held different species and different ways of being. And many people will have those memories returning to them about their lifetime as a Lemurian, or as various different Lemurians, as the Atlantean thing as well, that, you know, that's been coming up for people. But the Lemurian thing will come now because, in a way, humans are being asked to be more deeply connected to their emotional body. And that is what the planet is doing, you know. So one of the key things in my work with Gaia has been her wanting people to recognize that the earth is a living, breathing, sentient being. And so that's how, you know, we need to remember and connect to her in that way. You know, it's not a chunk of stone orbiting in space. She's a living, breathing entity.
Yeah, beautiful.
And she holds so much love for us.
Yes, that's undeniable.
Sorry, Mary Jo.
No, that's okay. I could just listen to you two ladies go on and on and on. It's so beautiful. I love everything you're sharing. Just one thing I just wanted to kind of jump back to a little bit was just about the whole ascension thing. Like, say, because I'm sure many people are probably under the perception, getting into the galactics, that they're more ascended than us on Earth, you know? So what would you say to somebody who's like, well, I thought if they were galactic, they were in a higher vibration, higher frequency, and they're already ascended?
In a higher vibration, a higher frequency, doesn't mean that they're actually more ascended than us, because we are them. We are just in a lower frequency physical existence at the moment, but we are the galactics here. So we're exactly the same, but we've been veiled, and we're just now lifting the veils over the last few years and remembering who we are. Well, those, for most of us, many of us came in awake, but we are them and they are us. So ascending simply means lifting, in my knowing, is lifting the veil off us and revealing our truth to ourselves and who we are. We naturally rise in vibration back to who we are as the veil lifts. So that's what ascension is for me.
And I would add to that, that we are part of an experiment. We are about to do something that has never been done in the history of the multiverse. And that is that we are to ascend, taking our existing physical form with
absolutely,
us.
Yeah.
Ascension's often taken place in an energetic form. So people ascend out of the body and into their vibrational energetic form. We are ascending, taking our physical form with us, which has never been done. And in fact, there are many beings in the multiverse who didn't think it would be possible. So that's why we're going through this process of, it's like releasing. So we're releasing the density. So we've been having codes coming in over the last, the last 5, 6, 2012 maybe, since 2012, so say 8, we've had different codes coming in that have different functions, but in the short version of it, it's all been to release density. So it's to release cellular memory, it's clearing out ancestral lines, it's clearing out emotional trauma back through time and space, so that we can house more light. And so it's been this gradual process of releasing density, releasing the dross, absorbing light, having our DNA activated from 2 strands back to 12, which we're still in process with, and having our carbon-based bodies converted into crystalline liquid light. So we've been absorbing more of that. That gives us the ability to hold higher light and high frequency in our body. So it's that kind of, that's a little short synopsis of it, really. And you know, we're completing that process, and so people are watching, or beings are watching with bated breath to see, are we going to do it? And up until just recently, it wasn't really believed whether we would or whether we wouldn't. So now there's no way back. So this is done. This is a done deal. We're going. There's no doubt about that. And we are
now.
to be here, aren't we? Very exciting to be here at this time.
Cross the threshold now, no turning back. It's a done deal. It's just the physical that's got to catch up now. On every other level, it's done, it's complete. Yeah,
so that's the emotional, that's clearing and connecting into the emotional body of humanity, which clears the emotional body of the planet. And so in my work with Gaia, there's this whole long thing that I've been meaning to record, but about the way the planet's being cleared on an internal level, and I've been part of watching that. And now we're clearing the surface, and in that time, our bodies have been cleared in parallel with the clearing of the planetary body of Gaia.
Beautiful.
Fascinating. Wonderful. So I just want to mention, you know, about this whole, the two rivers you were talking about, the 2 timelines. So it's already done. Is it already done for those who are choosing to awaken and go with it? And what do you see, you know, for the ones who choose to stay in the river? Is it just going to be a different reality creation that they're going to be on?
So eventually 3D will cease to exist completely, but some souls aren't finished with their experience in duality and in the 3D level of existence. And so they will carry on existing in the 3D level of existence on their timeline until their souls are complete with that experience. And then 3D will cease. So I can't give you a time, any type of time or anything with that in my knowing, but that's how it was said to me. That's how the conversation went, that we all have free will and that a lot of souls are thoroughly enjoying this duality for the time being. So it'll continue but get less and less and less and less and less until it ceases and everybody's over the bridge, over the rainbow bridge.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in for people who see other people around them who they feel is really, in brackets, asleep, but you know what I mean, who are really living that duality experience and really plugged into it and seem to have no interest in making any changes to that.
Yeah, so I want to add to that this is about the duality that we've been trained in here on the earth, is to make everything right or wrong, good or bad, black or white. And so we're moving into a place of accepting that all things are okay. And we don't have to agree for it to be okay.
That's right.
But right now people need to either have or ought to be making a choice as to which of those they're going to be wanting to experience and to be taking the action that matches up to that. So I think if we talk about it in timelines, one of the things that I was shown was if you can imagine two straws sitting on top of one another, and then off the bottoms of those are two loops. So there's one at the beginning of the straw and one at the end of the straw. So you choose which straw you're going into, if you like. And so one straw is into this higher consciousness divinity, living from the heart, living with unconditional love, and the other choice is living with what will increasingly become more of an AI existence, and will very much be still holding on to the duality and the polarity of people in stress and stretch. The whole paradigm of master and slave, control and obedience. And we know we're watching some of that play out on our world stage. We're watching some of that play out here in our country. And so the cycles are, one of the cycles is another 260,000 years. So the people who are not going to enter either of those straws, if you like, they might go into there. So that's their choice on a soul level, to have that experience. And then there's another cycle at the end, if you like, and that's for people who might just need to do a little bit more fine tuning with their vibration before they come into the new world. But ultimately, and I don't have to tell you, I don't have an understanding of this, I'm just telling you what I've been shown, is that they actually all come together. So, you know, if we choose this higher timeline, we're coming into creating our own new reality, this life of paradise. And then the other one joins it sometime, somewhere. And I'm not sure of the timing of that, but, you know, definitely there's that aspect of AI that will come into the world of paradise, the technology aspect of it. So I'm not sure of the timing of that. But in terms of our ascension, the other thing that Gaia spoke of is, you know, with this economic reset, and she said that the economic reset was going to happen, well, she said it would happen sometime this year, towards the end of this year, but I kind of thought we would know by now about the timing of that. Anyway, it is going to happen. And she speaks about how that will have a big impact on shifting consciousness, because everyone will have their needs met. And so people will have food, shelter, energy, and transport provided. And so then that takes away any greed and competition for resource. So imagine how that shifts when people don't have to be in fear of having their needs met, how they can shift in consciousness. And so when she first told me that, I cried, because you can just imagine how that will shift the way that humans can be they can work in collaboration, truly and purely from their beautiful hearts.
Take away that need to survive and allow people to start really living, learning to live. Yeah. There's also going to be the new quantum internet, quantum computer that's coming out, and a whole internet system which will be governed by truth, which will be...
And integrity.
Yes, such a fabulously wonderful thing. Such a simple but fabulously wonderful thing, truth and integrity. Yeah. Yeah, so, and these parts are all coming up very shortly, so it's yeah, as we move through over the next few years, we're going to see things that will be absolutely mind-boggling in what's been held back from us and what's been introduced to us in our life. So
yeah, it's going to be like rolling down a hill in a bale in a round bale of straw.
Very, very soon, over the next year or two, there'll be no hospitals needed. There'll be all the med beds and all the new technology coming out for that. So, but I mean, we could go on and on here, I know, but just as a taster for people, they've got so much to look forward to. They've got life to live rather than to survive in. You know, that's the biggest thing.
So we let go of things like the matrix of time.
Yeah. Did you notice that's fading now? That's fading now. You know, I forget the days, I forget the hours. I wonder where time's gone. I wonder how it went so quick at times, and then how come I seem to be hours before I've got to a particular time. I'm noticing now. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And what I was showing for this month, just for people to be aware of, and it was called a shift in time and space. So we're going through a shift in time and space during this month, and I was showing that might feel a bit like going through an air pocket, so hitting some turbulence. So we might feel that in the body as turbulence, as nauseousness. So that's going to happen, and it's a jolt. So I got showing it as a shunt. And I got shown it in a different way on a clock, as though we move through quarter of an hour in 3 movements. So rather than having 15 movements of the second, we have 3 movements. So we might feel that in our physical form, and that's in preparation for what I'm being told is an energy reset that happens in October. And then from there, we sort of the burgeoning of what we are already witnessing, of the economic reset. So, you know, those are the sorts of changes that we're going to be seeing just on that front. And then new species coming, new plants from earlier incarnations of our planet are going to be coming, and more those beautiful, magical beings that some of us see and other people think is fantasy.
Yes.
Going to be
I know those beings.
Well. Yeah. That they're not quite fantasy.
I've played with them all my life, especially right through my childhood. I know them beautifully. Yes, absolutely. Definitely not fantasy. I mean, fantasy is reality. Where the heck did it come from if it didn't come from somewhere? It has to be real somewhere. Yes. I don't know how many times I'd be sitting in the classroom as a child and bored out of my wee child mind with what was going on in the classroom, and I'd look out the window and one of my being friends would be going like this under a tree in the sun or something, and the next minute my light body's out there, and in the next minute I'd have the duster thrown at my head or a piece of chalk or something to bring me back into my body. I don't know how many times that happened. Much rather be out there in the sun playing than in the classroom sitting behind a desk listening.
That's the best goal for people, hey? You too would agree with that, to get out in nature. If you feel disconnected from yourself, if you're feeling a bit out of sorts, and you know, this is all part of our learning to calibrate and recalibrate through this time. Getting out in nature is just the best medicine.
Yes.
Beautiful. So yeah, continue on with the tips. So if you both like to just share more tips as people navigate this transition, and just even what you're talking about, preparing for the energy in October. And I mean, you've already covered some of the things, what to be mindful about, where you put your attention and your focus, but what else can you offer people to really take themselves under their own wing over these coming days, weeks and months?
To be mindful what foods they put in their body, to be mindful of the water they drink and not straight out the tap if they're in fluoridated areas, and how much fluid they put into their bodies in a day is very important, that they have a lot, you know, because we are more fluid than anything. We need a lot of fluid. To be mindful of their thoughts, to, as Sharron was just saying before, to go out into nature, or yourself or both of you, to go out into nature as often as possible, because we connect very, very deeply out there. We're deeply connected when we're feeling grounded and not floating up within the realms. It's something, you know, in the last 10 or 15 years I've really had to learn to do, because I spent most of my life out in the realms, and then realised that the greatest power was actually me here in this body being grounded. So to be really grounded at all times, and for me, the biggest thing, the greatest thing would be to find what brings me joy. So for people to find what brings them joy, and then to give themselves permission to pursue it. Because so many people have a dream, have an idea, have a feeling of what they'd like to do, and they never ever go for it, believing that they don't deserve it, that they can't, that they haven't got the time, that they need to do other things. But whatever makes your heart sing, pursue it, because that's going to lift your vibration, expand you out. And when our field expands out on the vibrational level, more opportunity comes to us, more doors open in life. So life has more area to come on in and connect. So I don't know if you look on that as a practical level, but because I know myself far deeper on the energetic level than I do even the physical, I know the vital importance of housekeeping on the energetic level. So every day, just taking note of how we're feeling, of what influence may be in our energetic field, and doing a cleanse, bringing in the violet flame, or the golden heart energy, or the iridescent white light, whatever works for the individual. Create a cleansing ritual and do it for yourself, because it's the intention and the focus that actually do it. You can use whatever tools you want to use vibrationally and energetically to do that. So, but it's very important to cleanse out our vibrational field regularly. So I'm sure you can add to that, Sharron.
Well, I think just to say that having a daily spiritual practice, it can take so many forms. You know, when people say, "Oh, well, I'm not very good at meditating," well, my answer to that is that meditation takes a lot more forms than just sitting in the lotus position and focusing on your inner mind. You know, you can be in meditation when you're out exercising. You can be in meditation sitting under a tree.
Yeah.
You can be in meditation just lying on the grass. You can be in meditation while you're in the shower. And so just know it's all about that key word that Janine said, intention. Yeah. And so it's about being the other aspect that I would add in is about being present. And it's about being present in this absolute moment. And how you know you're not present is as soon as you're in worry or anxiety, you're not present. You're in your head. And so you come into your heart space, which is a practice, and be present with what is right now. Things Gaia speaks about, you know, she said initially at the beginning of the year, she was saying you've got to get used to standing on shifting sands. And then more recently, she said you've got to get used to standing on shifting sand dunes. So we're experiencing much greater shift underneath our feet, and we just have to learn to ride the dunes, and that I want to say this will go against what a lot of people have been trained to believe. Give up planning.
Yes,
do with the next thing. So what is right here in front of me now? You know, how am I feeling in my body? What does my body need, and what is my next thing? Even if it is that you're at work, even if you are still in a classical job where you're an employee for somebody and you have to attend for particular hours, do your job one bit at a time. You can expand time by just having a focus on being very present in this now moment.
Yeah.
And then it allows things to unfold, because, you know, we are in huge, huge changing times, and we have to find our way with it so that we can be centered, balanced, and grounded. And many of you won't yet know what your big purpose for being here is, other than taking part in the ascension party as we roll into our new world. And you can get caught up with trying to get into the future of it, but it will unfold and many things will fall away. So just don't hold on to anything too tightly. Just be present with the breath, really.
Yeah, the power is in the now, isn't it? So right in this now moment is where our power is. And if we fall back into the past, we will find regret. And if we move into the future, we find angst and worry. So to have none of that is to stay solid and present in this now moment, and present with other people. That is a big one, to be present, fully present with other people. Allow them their voice, allow them to be seen and heard in conversation. Don't be triggered in your mind and take the conversation over. Allow the person to speak. So that's a big one in honouring ourselves by honouring the other one. So that's what it's all about, is being in the now moment.
I'd just like to ask you, for people who are having a lot of challenge sleeping, which I'm coming across lately, what would you say to those people who just feel very tired with disruptive sleep?
I'd say accept it.
Yeah.
So we're going through a lot of physiological change in our bodies, and that takes a lot of energy in itself. So our bodies are changing, they're changing form. Our bodies are releasing, and then we are having to transmute that release through our field. And then honestly, being out in the world, the energetic world, is like being in a very overcooked pot of soup at the moment. And I've been saying to my clients, some people are more empathic than others, and the real empaths, I say, you're probably out there and you can't help but come back with a bit of carrot stuck in your ear. So you have to kind of be mindful about doing frequent clearing. Like I'm saying to people, clear in the morning, clear in the night, and then clear in the day. And there's a whole lot of different ways to do that. But just clearing with intention when you wake up is good, so you can say, I call upon the higher aspect of myself to just clear everything out of my field that doesn't serve me in this moment or doesn't serve my highest good. And, that's quick and simple and easy. And you have the, whether you know it or not, you have that power. That power sits within you and within your field. So now I've lost track as I was out in the soup thinking about that.
The carrot in the ear.
So you can do that, and you can, having salt in your bathroom is a really good thing. You can wash your hands up to your elbows, and just with the aspect of intention. So I'm just clearing off anything I've picked up from out in the world and just running it down the drain. Do the same in the shower. But yeah, being present in the moment and just making sure that you keep your field clear. And then tell me the question again, Mary Jo.
Yeah, it was about the sleep. People who were just having that disruptive sleep. But I think really the acceptance piece and allowing, and this is the biggest challenge to our human part, is to accept and allow what is occurring and unfolding, and to trust and to go with the flow. And that's our challenge, is how do we get out of our own way and to allow this journey and to accept that this is happening, it's happening for us. And just as you both mentioned, I think at different times, that there is no going back. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this conversation, because you're really bringing the future here to the present of how this is unfolding. So thank you so much, both of you, in your own unique, brilliant ways. Thank you for that. But yeah, Janine, do you have anything else to add about the sleep?
Simply go with it, because time's becoming fluid. To sleep at a certain time each night, to go to bed at say 9 o'clock and sleep 8 hours is not, although it was an incredibly healthy thing to do there for a long time because of where we're moving to in ourself, it's not required the same now. So as we vibrate higher, we need less sleep, but we need different times of sleep. So if we feel like having a snooze, if we're working and we feel like having a snooze in the lunch break, have a 20-minute or a 10-minute power nap. You know, it can be hugely beneficial. And, you know, sometimes you may only need 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours sleep at night. I know people that are going all night now without any sleep for days on end, and they're absolutely fine. Very high vibrating people. Absolutely fine. So don't make it a big issue that you're constantly tired, because I think it's the same for most of us, and we are learning new ways to adapt with that. So, and as Sharron said, just going out into the public, anytime I go out into the public arena, I have to come home and have a sleep for about 20 minutes, cleanse myself and have a sleep, just to let it go, because yeah, I don't feel drained when I'm out there. It's on my way home I start to really feel it. So it's just the way of the world now, just the way of the world. And mentioning flow before, so, and Sharron mentioning planning. So planning is the mind's way of controlling events, and we're being asked now as heart-centered beings to move into the flow. So the flow is no planning, but the flow asks for trust. And that's the piece where most human beings will tumble over themselves, is to trust in the flow of themselves in life, to bring to them what they require and what they need, and allow it to unfold divinely without planning ahead and having control over their life. And I mean, this is how it is for me now, and has been for a few years, is to be in the flow and to trust and to know that all my needs will be met in the moment of needing them or requiring them. So it's taken a lot of trust, and I'm still in the process of getting out of my own way at times with that trust. So that is planning is head, flow is heart.
That's perfect. And because the sleep thing also happens in waves, in my view. Yeah. So there will be times when you can have very little sleep, and then there'll be times when you need lots more sleep. Yeah. And it's the resistance that takes you into the suffering of it. Yes. So that's that old way of being, which is what Janine was speaking about, you know, where we are hooked into this is the way that you do it. And we are learning all new ways and systems
we are.
of how we are and be, and it's that being present in the moment that allows us to be out of the resistance of that.
And I'd also just like to add in, as well as what people might notice is the sleep, but also digestion. Depending on what's going on energetically, sometimes the digestion can be a lot more efficient, and then sometimes not. And often the body just needs less food, more water. So it's having that adaptive mentality, isn't it? To adapt and flow and change, rather than be stuck on these ideas of how it's meant to be. The sleep, yes. The food, you know, and it's breaking down, destructuring or breaking down those fixed ways that we've kind of contained ourselves within the parameters of. So they're coming down in a multitude of levels and a multitude of ways to open up for this greater flow. And this in the flow is the greater connectivity, so that we're taken by the stream of life, and we get to experience it with the eyes of a child, and really be the experiencer of life rather than the planner of life and the controller of life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Create dialogue with your body.
Yes.
Ask your body questions and wait for the answer. You'll get it if you get out of this busy mind.
Beautiful, beautiful ladies. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground there. How are you feeling? Is there anything else that we haven't touched into that you just want to add in here?
No, not for me. I think that from my point of view, we've covered quite a bit in topics today.
Beautiful. And it
maybe it would be useful for people to create a few signs for themselves, you know, so that they have little reminders. So Remember that, you know, to have hope. Remember to sit in the heart. Remember to have the knowing that all is well.
Yeah.
And we're just in the unfolding of the end part as we move into our new world. So, you know, have some little reminders so that when you get caught up in the density, in the story, in the drama, in the narrative of what's being given to you, around you, by others and by television or the news programming or social media, that you have some clues, some reminders to get you out of it.
Yeah, and I've been talking about that is the choice, but that is, you know, there's another element of the challenge for people of feeling out of control with everything that's going on, which is it's loosening our grip on what we thought we had control on, or the manipulating the outside world to realize that the control that we have is exactly like that, to give ourselves some signals. To what I love to share with people is you always have the choice to take a good deep breath. No matter where you are, you can and drop down into the heart, and then have the guidance on that next step, or look up and see that little sign, or the reminder. I have reminders on my phone of different signs or affirmations or mantras that I like to remind and to program my subconscious with, that pop up on my phone. And sometimes it's in those moments, you know, and they've been on there for years, but it might be in those moments where something's crossed my screen and it's like, oh yeah. And one of them is like, am I loving myself in this moment, or something like that, you know? So that prompts me, okay, I have a choice here. Do I want to continue down this track, or, you know, what would be something more loving for myself? So it's really setting ourselves up for supporting ourselves on this journey. Yeah.
On my mirror, I have, you have to think like you're blessed, speak like you're blessed, and act like you're blessed.
Because you're blessed.
Because you are blessed. That's right.
Beautiful.
I'd just like to finish off by saying to everybody that may listen to this or is listening, that they are not alone. That they are not alone going through this, that we are all in this together. And there's always somebody that you can turn to if you're feeling you need support.
So on that note, Janine, how can people connect with you more, if you share that now?
I've got a website. It's www.theheartlady.net. And I've got a Facebook page, which is just Janine.Savient, or The Heart Lady, but Janine.Savient's the main one. And yes, I see clients, and I run a very supportive weekly group for many months now. And so if anybody's needing support that way, the support of a group as well, it's once a week. So that's me at the moment.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. And Sharron, what about you? How can people connect with all your sharings and offerings?
So I have a website, SharronMartin.com. Sharron has 2 R's, and you can look on there for material that I've written, and also you can book in for a session with me, and there's some information on there about that. And also on there you can find a link to my YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel is mostly devoted to information from Gaia, so it's energy updates and meditations that you can use. Yeah, I have a healing clinic here in Whangaproa, so people can do that, or do sessions on Zoom, and I think that's probably it.
And you have a newsletter as well? People could sign up to your newsletter?
Yes, I send out a newsletter about once a month, and life is pretty spread for me at the moment. So the other thing I do is I paint the etheric temples. So this is Gaia here beside me, behind me. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So thank you so much, ladies, for accepting this invitation to come together and co-create and share this beautiful insights and guidance and knowledge and knowingness, and just your beautiful, unique expression on this earth. So thank you, the bottom of my heart.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you both. Thank you, Mary Jo.
Thanks, Sharron.
And
What a
thanks to
beautiful
everybody
one.
who is tuning in. And yeah, if you're on Facebook, please leave some comments. We'll come back here again and find this video and answer any comments. If I'm sure you ladies are open to anyone asking questions or comments that you can come back to. So thank you. We're all in this together. We are co-creating this together. And as we come together in coherence, we amplify those frequencies and intentions. So thank you for adding your energy into this as well. Namaste. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise us all. And missionaries of light and love.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Okay, and I will end here. Bye-bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Good day, everyone.